Hi there, Andy Modeler back. It's Valentine's Day 2015. Alright, that aside, in front of us here now we have the very excellent model aircraft plan designed by Mr. Malcolm Corbin. It's the Mini Jazz. Now, this is a superb model aircraft. It's been out quite a number of years now, and over the years I've built myself three from this very plan. As you can see, the plan has been sellotaped and drawn over, and I've cut it. I've got no problems whatsoever in cutting a model plan. Life's a bit too short to get het up about cutting a bit of paper. Anyway, the first model that I built, I followed the instructions closely for the control systems. Now the control systems say that you use a closed loop pull system for the rudder and a Bowden cable for the elevator. Now as you can see here, coming off the servo, one wire splits into two and then goes on to the two halves of the elevator. Now for a model of this size, the elevators are quite large, and unfortunately getting too carried away in the air, I actually lost my first Mini Jazz due to catastrophic elevator flutter. Now that didn't put me off at all building a second Mini Jazz, so I wanted to the second time try and incorporate a closed loop pull system for the elevator as well. Now if you can see on the plan, you don't have an awful lot of room to incorporate the three servos that you're going to have to use anyway. One obviously for the throttle, one for the rudder and one for the elevator, because the canopy cuts down into the fuselage quite closely to the wing seating area. So what did I do? What workaround did I do here? Well, I've also got myself from Western UK a Mini Hype. Now they also use a pull system for their controls at the back, the rudder and the elevator. But this model being quite a bit larger and the holes all worked out for you, you don't have to do too much thinking. But I wanted to copy this onto my second Mini Jazz. So I'll show you the Mini Jazz that I built. The plan will turn you a model into looking like this. Okay, so at the back end, the canopy actually is an aftermarket carbon canopy that I bought for my Mini Hype and never put into service because I'd used the clear one, so that got pressed into service here. Right, if you have a look at the back end of this model are the controls for the pull systems that I used on the both rudder and elevator. But so what did I have to do? Okay, I had to leave one servo where it was in the center. That was for the elevator, and then I moved the second servo up into the area behind the canopy. Alright, when I was actually building the model, I'd left it to the uncovered stage where I hadn't covered the wooden balsa wood on the bottom. I put myself a servo mount down inside there. It was a little bit like keyhole surgery, but then I finished the model. Before I covered it with the monocoat, it was a little bit crude, but I got myself some spring steel wire and guesstimating from the plan and from looking at the model where I thought the cables would be exiting. Alright, so I gouged at a diagonal angle into the balsa wood and made some small holes. Then I finished the model, covered it with the monocoat, yeah, and then after that I dropped the servo down into the mount that I'd already glued into the back end of the fuselage. But then I had to work out a way of feeding 6 cables into the back end and out without it ending up like spaghetti or working over each other so that they'd be working against each other. What was my workaround? Okay, well, I've got myself some fine gauge spring steel wire and feeding one at a time through the holes at the back, looking down in without the wing in place, looking down inside the fuselage. I could see exactly where the wires were. Okay, I did 2 at a time. I couldn't do all 6 because that would be a bit too difficult, I think. I did 2 at a time so that I would know exactly where the wires would be exiting without going over each other. And then getting some fine Bowden cable. I think this is actually off an electric model. I then fed the wire onto the end like this, a drop of instant glue, and then I would drag that back, okay, drag that back through the hole, and then you see, all keeping control of everything. And then I've got a mock-up here. This is off a much larger servo, but then I would already make the cables up with the crimped ends with some excess. You're going to have a bit of wastage of wire on the end, but it's so much easier that I didn't mind that at all. Then on each of the plastic Bowden cables I would feed the wire control, a drop of instant glue so it wouldn't pull out, and then feed that all the way back through, and so that you've got then yourself a servo arm here, okay, outside of the model, with the wires feeding in all nice and easy, not tangling over each other, coming out the back end. And then you can do what you want at this end. You can then put your controls on, you can put all your linkages, get all the geometry correct, drop the servo down on, screw it onto the servo, make sure that it's central, okay, get all your geometry all set up, and this works a treat. I haven't had any problems to date with blowback on the controls. No flutter. I've not had anything like that at all. Like I say, this was the second model that I built. I'll show you the third one. This was the third model that I built to date of the Mini Jazz. All right. Anybody who can see, who's got a keen eye, will see that the fuselage, I actually designed this so that well, it's not my own design, I changed the design so that the fuselage is just a little bit fatter. Okay, this makes life easier when you incorporate the servo behind the canopy, okay, which is here. And there are the control runs. I had these running in parallel, so it looks a little bit neater. Yeah. My own system for crimping the ends is feeding it through the adjustment, back through the little aluminium tube. You don't have to go too crazy on crimping these, just a bit of a squeeze and that's fine. And then I just double back that. This will never move. This never moves at all. And then a drop of instant glue there. Okay, so well, that was just a way of letting you know the workaround that I did on the Mini Jazz to stop any tail flutter that you might have experienced. Alright then, thanks for watching.